The avocado tree was important to the grandfather for three main reasons. Nice, James, good job. In the story, the grandfather would grow his own food, which allowed him to save money. Now, instead of would grow, I would use the word grew, because we're just talking in the past tense here. He would constantly express his gratitude. He constantly expressed his gratitude for being able to save money and still have plenty of fruit. In the grandfather's town, the price of avocados was high, and he had no intentions of paying a lot of money for a fruit. He loved the avocado tree because it would give him a very valuable fruit for free. Nice. The grandfather also felt, I think this is the first reason, right? The grandfather also felt that the tree was important because of the hope and promise of more years it bestowed upon him. Second one. When the grandfather would look at the avocado tree, he would see how time flew by and how in due time the tree would grow. The most important reason on why the grandfather thought the avocado tree was valuable was because it represented the growth of his family and his legacy. Now here we have a little problem. The most important reason on, you don't say a reason on something, okay? It's a reason for. So the most important reason for something, okay, was because it represented. You can't use the word reason, the word because together in the same sentence. It's a very popular form of wordiness. So only use why, or use reason, or use because. Only one of them. So I would rewrite the sentence: the most important reason for the grandfather's view, or the grandfather's feeling, or the grandfather's something that the avocado tree was valuable was that. So the reason was that, not the reason was because. The reason was that it represented the growth of his family and his legacy. Okay, really good. Very, very good introduction. First, the grandfather loved his avocado tree because it allowed him to save money. So again, my clear topic sentence here in the body. The market in the grandfather's town sold avocados at a high price. The grandfather had to constantly bargain and try to get an avocado at a lower price. But the avocado tree started to grow and bear fruit. Now here, of course, we shouldn't start a sentence with but, so as I said, we can put however instead, or any other transition, and then a comma. This allowed him, the ambiguous pronoun we were talking about, here you're talking about everything you just said. Instead, say for example, this arrangement allowed him, this fruit-bearing tree allowed him, this tree allowed him, okay, something like that that shows what it is that allowed him to save money and have a valuable fruit for free. Also, comma, the tree provided a source of food for him. The tree provided a source of food for him and his children. As stated in the passage, the grandfather took the first edible avocado, edible is right, off of the tree, mashed it onto a tortilla, and laced it with salt and chili. These two perks of having an avocado tree in his backyard allowed him to save money. Okay, perks is actually an abbreviation of another word. Who knows what it is? Yes, Jonathan is right. There you go. It's a perquisite. Okay? And this word is sometimes confused with the word prerequisite. A prerequisite is something you need to know or need to have before doing something. But a perquisite is a perk. It's an advantage. So perks is the abbreviation of the word perquisites. Okay? So I would prefer, if you write it this way, it would look much better to the reader that you actually know the word perquisite and you know how to spell it properly. Secondly, the grandfather felt. Now, here's a little problem, James. First is American. Firstly is British. You used first at the beginning, then you used secondly here. Okay? That doesn't make sense. You should either say first and then second, or firstly and then secondly. The grandfather felt that the avocado tree was important to him because it gave him hope and promise of more years. When the grandfather had the avocado tree at a young age, he could jump over it. He was able to feel as if he were flying as he jumped over the tree. As time went by, the tree grew several feet long. When the grandfather saw this, again, this here is an ambiguous pronoun, he felt a sense of hope and promise that the tree would bear an avocado. Now here he actually used a part of the story without explaining or without giving me a big quote, but rather three words from the quote, which makes sense. Okay? The grandfather also had hope of seeing the avocado tree grow and bear fruit for his children. But most importantly, the grandfather had much hope and promise for the development of the tree. Since there was much industrial development where he lived, and there were many high buildings, this prevented circulation of pollen. Okay, looks good. Again, lastly, as Jonathan noted, should be last, okay, or lastly if you used firstly and secondly. The avocado tree was important to the grandfather because it showed the growth of his family. In the passage, it states that. Now, as we said, guys, I don't like to say in the passage it states that. It is preferable to say who said that. So, in the passage, the grandfather says. In the passage, the narrator says. In the passage, the grandson says. Okay? I think it was the narrator or the grandson who was saying this. All his sons, standing on each other's shoulders, oldest to youngest, could not reach the highest branches. The wind could move the branches, but the trunk, thicker than any waist, hugged the ground. This shows that the tree had gotten so big, it is now larger than the oldest son's waist. Okay? This shows that the tree had gotten, you're talking in the past tense, the actually past perfect tense, and then you use the present tense. It is now. Okay? So this needs to be rewritten. You need to use only one tense. So this shows that the tree had gotten so big that it became larger than the oldest son's waist. And again, this here is an ambiguous pronoun, as I explained before. Also, comma. If you start a sentence with also, guys, remember to put your commas. Also, it shows how, ambiguous, the tree outlived the grandfather by continuing to grow after his death. The avocado tree took 10 years to bear its first fruit, which wasn't even edible. But now, the tree is growing at a fast rate. Again, we're not talking about now. Okay? Soon after, the tree began, in the past tense, growing at a faster rate, and began to bear much fruit. Much fruit, even with the industrial development of his town. So make sure that your tenses all make sense together. In conclusion, the avocado tree was important to the grandfather because it allowed him to save money, obtain hope and promise of more years, and show the growth of his family. Very good. The avocado was like another son to the grandfather. It was a son to him. He considered it a son. He nurtured it, had incessant hope, nice word, for it, and constantly believed that one day it would be of great value. The avocado tree was truly an aid to the grandfather's life, and in due time will be an aid to his sons' lives. Okay, very, very good. Okay, really, really good essay there.